So we're just making our second round with the pails. These guys are getting fed up nice and heavy, so we're just pouring the syrup to them. We have a nice warm week ahead of us, so we're going to take advantage of the warmth. Is supposed to be up around 28s, 29s, 30s. Nighttime lows, around 20s, which is quite unusual for this time of year here. While Carrie's filling some pails here, I'm just going to do, I'm just poking through the yard. I'm just doing a real thorough mite wash. I just want to make sure that we have everything under control. Our brood nest is pretty much all emerged now. There's some hives that still have some capped brood going inside. There's a few hives that are pretty ambitious that have still, some active open brood. But for the most part, I'm finding everything pretty much shut down. And because of that, we are backfilling this nest right full of syrup. So I just want to poke down into these nests. I'm going to open up these two hives here, and I'm going to take a mite sample, see where we're at, and just to see how the nest is kind of forming. I like to do a little bit of a random assessment through the entire apiary just to get a feel on where things are at. And it just helps plan out our work ahead, just so we know where the bees are and we kind of know what's going on. So, it's kind of a foggy day today. Today is supposed to be one of those plus 28 days, but you can see with this mild weather and whatever condition, it has blanketed the countryside in fog, which is extremely frustrating for anybody who wants to do some combining. But our farm, we're done all the cereals and oil seeds, so we're just waiting on the later crops, so we're in good shape. Just the grain dryer is running. But anyways, I'll dig down into here. This hive doesn't have a foamy on it. I'll have to find one. It's a little bit smaller. You see it's pretty well defined within the 4 frames here. Let's take a look underneath, see what they got. You bring me a couple foamies, Carrie?
I could.
Oh, they're heavy. Yeah, so that cluster has been, they're down. The whole cluster this time of year kind of migrates down. And obviously it's happened with these guys too, so. From the top, they didn't look as big, but well, there they go. So this hive is a monster. I just woken them up. So I'll just make some space so I can dig into here. But they're nicely centered. I love it when they center themselves. It just makes our work so much easier. Lots of feed on hand. Could probably, here's a foundation frame that I put in earlier. They're drawn out to one side but not the other. Should probably switch that out, but I don't have a frame. Okay, so here is the center of the cluster, and I can't really see because I don't have sun. I'm looking at an emerged brood nest, just a little bit of brood hatched out now, and eggs all over the place. She's got that right full of eggs, and I doubt these bees are gonna, oh, there she is there. Beautiful little queen. She has this side full of eggs too, but I don't see anything past that egg stage. So I doubt those bees are going to take those eggs and develop them into larvae. They'll probably just pull them away. Because I anticipate these guys are finished brood rearing. My queen likes to establish her dominance, so she'll keep laying just to provide that anchor, that center within the hive. But whether or not they take those eggs and allow them to mature into larvae or not just depends on the feel of the hive. Here and again she's got her eggs to anchor the nest there, so they might carry them forward. And here too, she's got a bunch of eggs, but nothing, there isn't any active developed brood. So these guys are pretty much done brood rearing. So I found the queen, she's over there, so I don't have to look too carefully when I take my sample here. This time of year I want the nest to kind of slow down, shut down. You're getting into winter mode. That is it. We want to backfill this nest. We want to fill them up full of syrup. They're shutting themselves down. So we'll just follow that seasonal cycle. These bees, we have 4 very definite seasons, and our bees whip themselves to those seasons almost precisely. Okay. So see what we got here for a mite shake. So there's only about 50 or so bees in there. So I'll shake this for a little while. Just a field test. We don't need to really do it any longer in a minute or so. This is leaking. Back at the honey house we can take the samples we take for the day and we give them a more thorough shake just to be able to get more of an accurate estimate, but just for a field test to let you know what's going on. It's really important just just take that assessment, just take a look. Because if there is a lot of mites in this hive, I take a sample, it doesn't take much to shake off a bunch of mites there, then you'd see them all right away. There's one mite. No, that's the mite. I'm reusing this. I'm reusing the alcohol here, so that's the mite from the shake yesterday. And we went through and sampled bees all day yesterday, and we found 2 mites in the entire, on all the shakes. So that is that. Let's take a look in this other colony. This one doesn't have a foam either. They're packed full of bees. Bother tipping these guys over. So let's dig down in here. There's gonna be a lot of bees to pull up a frame on. There's a mass of bees in this colony. This is a box of bees. Holy man. So I'm just going to go straight to the punch here. Dig right into the center of the cluster and see what's going on. Well, actually I'm going to see if there's any pollen stores. brood nest hatching out there. So this is a sizable colony. It had a big winter nest develop. Pollen on hand. We'll be using that later. Just going to dig into the center. There's the brood nest that's emerging right in the center. They're backfilling. Got that frame backfilled. These are going to start boiling over the top if I don't hurry up here. So this is one of the yards we fed supplement to. This is completely backfilled. These guys have set themselves up quite nicely. They're practically ready. We're just going to top them up with a little bit more syrup. So middle of August we come through with patties. We drop patties on these colonies just to help develop this monster winter nest you're looking at here. Just to complement that pollen that was flowing in. So they're practically ready. Their brood nest has been backfilled already. They've made good use of their time. There's just a bit of the late brood that's emerging, so this winter nest is set. I'll pull one more frame. And I'll leave them the heck alone. Pretty much full. They have space as that brood is emerging. They have space around the edges here too. So we're going to fill it all up. So I'm just going to take a look for mites. So I haven't found the queen, so I'll just take a good look here. I don't have a tub to shake these into with me right now, so I'm just going to take a scoop here. So many bees in here. Very quietly put them back together. Foamy and they're going to get some more syrup just to finish them off. Okay, the girls are a little bit edgy just because of well, it's quite foggy out right now, and I'm disturbing their slumber. So this job is kind of like a pain in the ass. Doesn't really seem all that important. It takes a lot of time, but it's one of the most important things to do this time of year, just to make sure that you're monitoring the mite levels as you go. Because as that brood nest emerges, there's basically no brood in this nest anymore right now. There's no place for the mites to hide anymore. So your mite monitoring, your mite checks becomes very accurate because there's no place for them to hide. So when you survey the mite level within the colony, it's extremely accurate. And you should know exactly what you got here. And I'm not seeing any mites, so that's good. We're going to take this and we're going to, throughout the morning, we're going to take random samples throughout the colonies. I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's a lot of work digging into a prepared winter colony full of syrup, like they're full of stores, full of bees. It's hard to pull frames, and I don't really want to do that. So we're just going to tip these colonies back and just take a little scoop from the bottom of the cluster, just get a random sample and go from there. For the most part, through our survey, we're not finding a whole lot in regards to any mite population, so we can relax a little bit, but we still have to make sure that we continue with the monitoring just to make sure we have a proper handle on it. If I was finding elevated mite levels within the colonies, we'd have to, like, over 2.5%, 3%. 1 year, this time of year, I was finding levels up around 4 to 5. So you have to take drastic action then, and I'd highly suggest dropping strips, Apivar in there. That would be my plan if I was finding levels up around that 2.5 and over. But because we're not, we're just going to let things ride until middle of October before we put these hives inside. And we'll go through with oxalic acid vapor treatment and knock down that residual background level of mites with that vapor. So that's the plan, and I'm going to stick to it. Settle down, girls.
Mite?
We'll see. Sure, a lot of bees in those boxes. Those are a box of bees.
Just as advertised.
One mite. The little bastards are still there. One mite.
This one is heavily infested.
Just one mite in the bottom here. Which will make sure it whips our late oxalic acid treatment later this fall. Just to make sure we clean up all those residual mites. So if we take a look at how many bees I have in here, you know, there'd be about a cup full of bees, or a little bit. So there'd be 100, 150 bees, maybe 200 bees in there. So I calculate that one mite over 150 bees to 200 bees as like, I don't know, we're looking at 0.5% or something like that. Whereas my threshold, I would count as 2, 2.5, 3%. So I'm well under threshold still. And but there's still mites there, so we will take action later on this fall.